We have a major piece of legislation again being considered by this Congress, the Farm Bill. It expired in the last Congress, and due to significant political machinations and controversies, we couldn't get it across the finish line because it was too expensive, didn't have enough reform, shortchanged nutrition, and frankly didn't deal with the conservation elements that Americans care about. Well, we're at it again. And the big contentious issues remain. The direct payments appear to be gone, subsidies that go to farmers regardless of whether or not they even farm the land. But the big contentious issues remain. The issues of subsidization have simply migrated. There's an effort to have a shallow loss provision or additional crop insurance subsidies that may actually end up being far more expensive than the direct payments they're supposed to be replacing. There is an ongoing controversy regarding nutrition. The Senate bill cuts $4 billion at a time when too many Americans are, in fact, food insecure, and food stamps, the SNAP program, plays a vital interest in communities around the country. The House bill is even worse, $16 billion of cuts that families rely upon and, frankly, that provide $1.70 of economic activity for each dollar that is given to beneficiaries. Well, there is one area that shouldn't be unduly controversial: the conservation titles of the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill is the most important piece of environmental legislation that will be considered by this Congress. The question is whether it will be a good environmental bill or a poor one. The conservation title deals with programs that are very, very important, but that the private market doesn't provide a market-based incentive for people to invest in. I'm talking about things that if you ask the public generally, of course they are concerned about clean air, clean water, soil protection, wetland and grassland preservation. But these are things that we've seen for the last 60 years, unless the federal government steps in with either subsidy or regulation, we pay a terrible price, dating back to the monstrous soil erosion that was part of the Dust Bowl tragedy. Well, here again, we're in a situation where the conservation titles are in the crosshairs. It's the conservation programs that too often have been cut when we are in need of money. They are touted when people are encouraged to vote for the bill, and then those resources dissipate. They are diverted to large projects. Large confined animal feedlot operations take huge amounts of this money to deal with something that should be part of their cost of doing business, and large operations that could fund it themselves, and takes away resources from small and medium-sized farmers, or draining valuable wetlands. There's a reason why only 1 in 4 of the application for conservation programs are approved, because there isn't enough money and too much is diverted. I've introduced H.R. 1890, the Balancing Food, Farms, and Environmental Act, that seeks to change those priorities, to be able to have more money available, targeted towards small and medium-sized farmers and ranchers, be able to put a premium on longer-term conservation. I mean, we have a bizarre situation now where, because of the amazingly bloated and inefficient farm crop insurance program, people are plowing up land that previously had been in conservation, that's going to be eroded, that's probably going to fail because it's marginal cropland, but they don't care because the federal government's going to pay them anyway, and the taxpayer loses twice. They pay through unnecessary crop insurance subsidies, And they pay because they lose the water quality, the water quantity, the protection for wildlife habitat, and soil erosion. By all means, let's have the political tug of war over unnecessary subsidization in terms of fighting nutrition, but let's come together on the conservation items, which really ought to be nonpartisan, focused, and economically productive.